In the headlines, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola takes oath of office as acting CJN. Terrorists ban political activities in communities in Kaduna. Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he is still searching for his running mate. Away from Nigeria, South African police search bar for clues after 21 teenagers die. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. This follows the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad on Sunday night on the grounds of ill health. Justice Ariwoola was the next most senior justice of the Supreme Court at the time of Justice Muhammad's resignation. Until his resignation, the immediate past CJN was, according to reports, seriously ill. News of his resignation broke barely a week after 14 justices of the Supreme Court wrote to him to lament the dilapidated state of affairs in the Apex Court. In the leaked letter, the justices alleged that Justice Muhammad failed to address the issues raised despite drawing his attention to them. But the allegations were denied by an aide to the former CJN. And on security matters, Ansaru terrorist group has banned political activities in many communities in the eastern part of Birnin Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. Chairman of Birnin Gwari Emirate Progressives Union, Ishaq Kasai, who raised an alarm on this, said that the group regularly recruits young residents and marry off young girls in the area. According to him, the Ansaru group have camps in 7 political wards in the eastern part of the local government area. He also said that the militants usually beat up anybody found with posters of any political parties or symbols within the communities under their control. The chairman said that the Ansaru group continues to gain strength in the area whereby locals, particularly the youth, are being recruited. Zamfara State Commissioner of Police Ayuba Elkanah said that the embargo on firearms license is still in force, noting that the police have stopped issuing license to citizens who wished to own guns. While reacting to the announcement by the State Commissioner for Information that residents of the state should prepare and obtain guns to defend themselves against bandits who have been terrorizing the state, the Commissioner of Police, in a telephone interview with Punch, said he is yet to receive any directives. He said that the police is doing its best to protect the people, adding that of recent, many people have been rescued from bandits. Similarly, following directives to residents to defend themselves, Zamfara State Government said it is in talks with President Muhammadu Buhari to grant it permission to allow residents acquire weapons to defend their communities against terrorists. Special Advisor to Governor Bello Matawalle on security, retired DIG Mamman Safi, told journalists in Gusau, the state capital, about security measures being taken to curtail the activities of terrorists in the state. The report.
The recent upsurge of terrorist activities in Zamfara State has compelled the state government to take hard decisions and security measures to address the menace to enable residents and farmers to go about carrying out their lawful activities in the state without fear of terrorists. The State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara, lamented that Zamfara State is in a serious security crisis as the state has become a colony of banditry in Nigeria. He explained that though the federal government has since placed embargo on issuing of license for individuals to possess arms, but the security situation in the state is further deteriorating and becoming uncontrollable, hence the need for the state government to dialogue with President Muhammadu Buhari to allow residents obtain licenses to own guns to defend themselves.
Government has henceforth directed individuals to prepare and obtain lawful weapons to defend themselves against the bandits. Although there is an existing law that bans issuance of license to obtain such weapons, People wishing to obtain the weapon are advised to fill forms that will be distributed to each of the 19 emirates of the state, and enough number of such forms are so far been provided for distribution to people wishing to obtain local weapons that will be used independent themselves.
On whether the security agencies have failed in the fight against terrorists, the state officials said they did not, but commended them for putting their best to tackling the prevailing security challenges in the state.
I always commend the efforts of the security agencies, especially on the background of the nature of the crisis. In every country, you see a guerrilla fight. Guerrilla is a very difficult situation to face. They have the advantage more than we do have, and they have monopolized the most strategic side of where, even if we are taking the battle to them, we have to be exceptionally very, very careful.
The Zamfara state government believes the security measures being put in place will create conducive atmosphere for farmers to return to their farmlands to engage in farming activities for bumper food production to boost economic activities in the state.
Still on security matters, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has issued a 10-day ultimatum to gunmen operating in the state to lay down their arms. Uzodinma gave the ultimatum ahead of the July 12 visit of President Muhammadu Buhari to Imo State. He advised the gunmen to leave the forest in the state and surrender themselves and their arms to the traditional rulers for unconditional pardon. Speaking to newsmen in Owerri, Uzodinma said that the state will be hosting the annual Army Day celebration from June 30th to July 6th, and that no fewer than 10,000 military personnel drawn from the Army, Navy, Air Force and the police, among others, will be in attendance. He said that the president, who is expected to declare open the Army Day celebration, had also fixed July 12 and 13 as the period he will commission the Owerri-Olu and Owerri-Okigwe roads, as well as perform the flag-off of the construction of Owerri-Mbase-Umuahia from fire service and the Olu-Akokwa roads and the foundation laying ceremony of the Imo International Conference Center in Owerri. Police authorities in Imo State say that they have arrested one of the suspected killers of a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Ahmed Gulak. The public relations officer of the Imo State Police Command, Mike Abatam, disclosed this while briefing reporters on Monday in Owerri, the state capital. The suspect, identified as Anosike Chimobi from Ahiazu Mbase local government area of the state, was apprehended 1 year after Gulak's death. Gulak, a former aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, was murdered by a group of armed men on May 30, 2021, during a visit to Imo State. Parading the suspects alongside others, Abatam said Chimobi had been on the trail of the command since the killing of Gulak last year. Chimobi, while speaking with reporters, admitted that he drove the criminals to the spot and blocked Gulak's vehicle, which was on its way to the airport. And in political matters, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, said he is still searching for his running mate. He stated this in Abuja while delivering a keynote address at the 60th birthday celebration of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. Tinubu praised the Speaker for his contributions to democracy and also to his political ambition of becoming Nigeria's president, while extolling the virtues of his deputy, Idris Wasi, for being a dependable ally. Also speaking, President Muhammadu Buhari, who was represented by his Chief of Staff, Ibrahim Gambari, described Gbajabiamila as a team player and a skillful parliamentarian. Now, ahead of the July 16th Osun governorship election, Nigeria's two dominant political parties, APC and PDP, are flexing muscles to claim ownership of the state's electoral space. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that while the 1.6 million registered voters will decide who runs the affairs of the state After the governorship election, a competition between money bags and political strategists will most likely determine the outcome of the election. The report.
Candidate of the main opposition party in the 2022 Osun governorship race, Ademola Adeleke, has reportedly alluded to the fact that he would edge out the incumbent on account of his spending not only Nigerian currency but foreign currencies to realize his ambition.
He said he is not only Naira, it involves dollars, pounds, euros, and is going to be fire for fire.
Responding to this outburst, co-chairman of the APC Osun Governorship Campaign Council, Abdullahi Ganduje, says the ruling party is ready to match the money bag posture of the PDP in Osun State with what he called strategy bags.
When we have strategic bags against money bags, and strategy is more important than money.
Notwithstanding the fact that there are 15 candidates in the Osun 2022 election, the governorship race is touted to be a two-horse race between the two dominant political parties, though both are facing internal party crisis. The Osun State governorship election, scheduled to hold in 332 wards of the 30 local government areas of the state, is coming at a time stakeholders in Nigeria's electoral process are raising concerns over the rising influence of money politics in the country. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we find out, is bread no longer on the menu? Details and more after the break. Join us again. Thanks for staying with us. Here is a recap of our top stories again. Justice Olukayode Ariwola takes oath of office as acting CJN. Terrorists ban political activities in communities in Kaduna. And in other news, the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Garbai, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to conduct free and credible 2023 elections. He also urged political parties to conduct themselves cordially ahead of the polls. The royal father made the call when he received civil society groups in his Maiduguri palace. He called on religious leaders and traditional heads in communities to support the campaign of peace and reconciliation as repentant terrorists are being integrated back to the communities.
You know, election is something very sensitive. It has to be a fair and free elections. If the election is fair and free, there will be no problem. And I'm sure, inshallah, we're going to conduct a pure election. If there's anything bad somewhere, then this is how the trouble comes. Enlightening them, educating them, and begging them to enlighten their subjects, you see, so that they maintain peace. Now, we thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that peace has been maintained. Our state is now okay compared to other sister states. So inshallah will maintain.
The reintegration is what have brought about everything. People have been affected, people have been abused, people have been brutalized, people have lost everything. And then now, these boys also are our own. They have repented and are coming back. Where do we throw them? Our people have a saying which says, when your hand gets infected, can you catch it and throw it away? No way. But then you have to learn a way in which everybody will be accommodated, everybody will be sensitized to understand, and then bring in his perspective, so that these repentance and others, with the community views and perspective, how will they be accepted back is very, very key.
Planned nationwide strike by Bakers Association of Nigeria because of rising prices of essential commodities and other ingredients used in making bread and snacks is a source of worry to bread consumers in Bauchi State. Residents urged all stakeholders and the government to find a way out to avoid pushing the masses into more hardship. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
Bread is a staple food for both rich and the poor. But rising price of bread is something that is giving the poor a nightmare. When Bakers Association contemplated strike over rising cost of production, many said more hardship will be inflicted on the poor. Salis Bala and Mustafa Musa both reside in Bauchi, and the two said price of bread has increased but quantity and quality remain the same.
Prices of generally essential commodities is becoming unbecoming, not only the bread. But coming to bread in particular, if we consider that bread before as a common food meal by ordinary Nigerians. But recently, due to the price increase on daily basis, it's becoming unbecoming.
They increase the price, but no quality. It's good in business to maintain quality products for customer satisfaction, but it's still like form most of the breads here in Bauchi. For Nasiru Ibrahim and Isa Hassan, bread is one of the fastest food that people can eat at all time, especially during breakfast. According to them, Nigerian masses are in trouble if bread and snacks become delicacy only for the rich.
Because bread, it is something that people normally take as a breakfast in Nigeria. And of recent, the price has been hiked. If you look at it, it's not good. But the issue of them going on strike, is highly unfortunate, because if they go on strike, life will become more difficult, because, bread, like I've earlier said, is one of the things that we use for breakfast.
In general, I think 3 days ago, I bought a measure of flour for 900 naira. So, in a way, you cannot blame the bakers, because they buy this thing at a very high cost.
Meanwhile, some of the bakers in Bauchi say the fault is not theirs, calling on the government to address issues around inflation.
There is ongoing rumors they say we are going to embark on strike. It's true. It's not a rumor. It's true that we are going to preferring to engage with strike, because the issue of inflation or the issue of price increase in our materials, raw materials, the product we are using in the production of bread is rising at the rate of, what should I call it, rate is at the highest level. So we don't want that to happen. That is why we are trying to see we do something that at least call the attention of government to take some action so that we can all benefit from it.
Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says it received safety information from the European Rapid Alert System for dangerous non-food products that a cosmetic product, Placentine hair lotion, has been banned. The information is contained in a public alert signed by the Director General of the agency and issued to News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja. According to the alert, the product is said to contain a mixture of preservatives which are forbidden in leave-on cosmetics. It stated that the product is sold in a 12 ampoules cardboard box manufactured by an Italian company. The statement also encourages healthcare professionals, consumers and patients to report adverse events related to the use of this product to the nearest NAFDAC office. Nigerian pilgrims in Saudi Arabia are experiencing high cost of goods and services unlike what obtained in previous Hajj seasons. Some attribute the rising cost of dollar value appreciation in the country. Sharif Al-Hassan talks to pilgrims and how the exchange rate is affecting their daily activities in the Holy Land. The report.
The Grand Mosque of Mecca and Medina was locked down for nearly 2 years as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia struggles to stem the tide of the deadly virus. But that has changed. This time, the annual Hajj pilgrimage is taking place.
Authorities in Saudi Arabia seem to be easing coronavirus restrictions, which now give pilgrims unfettered access to the major grand mosques of Mecca and Medina without social distancing and wearing of face masks. But one thing that is staring thousands of Nigerian pilgrims in the face is the high cost of goods and services occasioned by a frequent rise in the dollar as against the Nigerian currency.
An exchange rate of $100 is approximately 65,000 naira, and to Saudi riyals is 375 riyals, and when converted to naira, 1 riyal is equivalent to 185 naira.
No origin Morocco, China Morocco.
So, for every goods and services patronized by a pilgrim in the Holy Land, the cost has nearly doubled or tripled compared to what was obtained during the last pilgrimage in 2019.
No, okay. 325.
Anyone that wants to buy something, is better for that person to buy from home, Nigeria, because our currency doesn't have any value at all. And if care is not taken, the money, one half might not be enough for him to do things throughout their stay.
Barkindo Abdullahi Yakubu is one among thousands of Nigerian pilgrims feeling the brunt of the high cost of goods and services in Saudi Arabia. Barkindo is left with no option than to adapt and utilize scale of preference in his daily dealings to avoid running out of cash.
It is very clear, especially for my compatriots who come from Nigeria, you find that the exchange rate differs significantly. $100 US dollars is equivalent to 375 riyals, Saudi riyals. While if you compare it to Nigerian currency, you find that $100 is about 68,000 naira or so, or thereabout. So there is difference, and that difference is giving Nigerians headache.
For now, as pilgrims continue to grapple with the high cost of goods and services, Barkindo and many others who are on a pilgrimage in the country are cautious in their spending till their last stay in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
And in business news, at least 410.6 billion naira worth of raw sugar was imported to Nigeria from the second quarter of 2021 to the first quarter of 2022. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, disclosed this in a report it recently published. According to the report, the commodity, which is the main ingredient for sugar production in the country, is among the list of commodities on the foreign exchange restriction list of the Central Bank of Nigeria and has consistently been among the top 10 goods imported mainly from Brazil. A breakdown of each quarter indicates that the commodity termed cane sugar specified in subheading Note 2 to Chapter 17, meant for sugar refinery, indicated that the 114 billion naira was imported from Brazil and Andorra in the second quarter of 2021, while 135 billion naira was used to import it from the same countries in the third quarter of 2021. However, its importation dropped to 85.3 billion naira and 81.5 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2021 and the first quarter of 2022, respectively. Away from Nigeria, police in South Africa are combing a township tavern for evidence on Monday following the mysterious death of 21 teenager after a night out. Most of the victims, some as young as 13, were found dead inside a popular bar in the southern city of East London. Some died later in hospital. They bore no visible signs of injury sparking speculation among local officials and politicians that this was a case of underage drinking that went tragically wrong. Special investigators from Pretoria have been rushed to the scene. Many of the victims are thought to have been students celebrating the end of their high school exams, officials said. Autopsies are being conducted to see if the deaths could be linked to poisoning. And in sports news, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal will headline the title chase at Wimbledon, where 8-time champion Roger Federer, the world's top 2 players, as well as valuable ranking points, will all be missing. Djokovic is bidding for a 7th title at the All England club to move level with US great Pete Sampras. Nadal, fresh from a 14th French Open victory and a record-extending 22nd major, is halfway to the first men's calendar Grand Slam in more than half a century. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more via all our social media platforms and also click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.